Earthlings. So today I'm filming sitting on my bed, and that's because I'm cleaning up my bookshelves and I didn't want to film in front of that because it looks horrible and I hate it. Today I have a haul video for you, and I would call it a Christmas haul, but that's not true because only one of the books was a Christmas present and all the other books I either bought or got for free. This haul comes to you in 3 parts. Part 1 is English books, the second part is German books that were originally English, and the third part is German books that I have not been able to find an English translation for. Correct me if I'm wrong there. If there is an English translation, please leave that in the comments for the books. So without further ado, because there are quite a lot of books in this haul, I'm going to start with the English books I got. And with that, I'm gonna start with the first book that was actually a Christmas gift, which is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I got this book in the Nerdfighter's Secret Santa, and I'm very happy that I got it. This book is about Emily, whose best friend Sloane goes missing, but her best friend left her a list of things to do over the summer that she kind of has to tick off one by one, and they're absolutely out of her comfort zone. They're things that she normally wouldn't do, especially not without her best friend, but she kind of has the hope that doing these things brings her best friend back, and so she embarks on the journey to complete the list. This sounded very intriguing to me. Also, I absolutely adore this cover, and this is, as far as I understood it, a contemporary novel, which I'm not reading enough of. It also has a lot of mystery, and it kind of reminds me of Pretty Little Liars with this friend who is missing. That just kind of really intrigues me. So I'm really looking forward to this, and it's definitely on my TBR for 2015. So the second book was not technically a gift. A friend of mine had this doubled, and so she gave one copy to me, and it's The Circle by Dave Eggers. As far as I understand it, it's a dystopian novel, and you have this company called The Circle that runs every internet activity, and so it has become very influential, and the main character, May Holland, gets a job in this company, and she's very happy, but she has to discover the sinister truth about this company and how her world is run. As far as I understood it, this is a dystopian standalone, which I'm really intrigued by, because dystopian novels usually come in trilogies or more, and this is out of the norm. And it also has a very interesting cover with this bright orange that kind of kills your eyes immediately, and also shiny. Now onto the books that I bought for myself, and the first English book that I bought for myself is The Giver Quartet by Lewis Laurie. This contains all 4 books in The Giver Quartet: The Giver, Gathering Blue, Messenger, and Sun. The books are these little hardcover editions, and they're very comfortable to read, and I saw this box set on Kat's channel and I immediately had to get it. It also contains a map of the world of The Giver and the companion novels, and I absolutely adore maps, so this is definitely going up on my wall as soon as I have space for it. So far I have read The Giver and I'm halfway through Gathering Blue. I really adore the books. They are really short, which makes it easy to read. It's a quick read. They also kind of cram the whole story in a few pages, so there's not much room for details. I'm not sure how far these books are actually connected to each other. I will tell you when I know. It's really hard to summarize The Giver or any of the other books without giving away too much, so I'm just gonna say that The Giver is about Jonas, who lives in this dystopian society and kind of figures out throughout the story what this whole dystopian setting is about and what this society is about, as you always have it. It's kind of a very classic dystopian novel. And the last English book that I bought are The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. As soon as this book was out, I knew I had to get it. This book fits perfectly to my other hardcovers of the Mortal Instruments series. This book was co-written by Sarah Rees Brennan and Maureen Johnson, and it contains short stories about Magnus Bane's life. I love Magnus. I'm totally a Magnus fangirl. This just had to be in my collection. I just want to dig into it, but the new year hasn't started yet and I can't start another book. I have to finish Gathering Blue. Today's the 30th. I have 2 days left and I won't finish this in 2 days because I want to enjoy it. Now on to German books that were originally English, so you can find all of them in English. The first 2 books in this category are So näher die Heilerin und So näher die Königin by Trudy Canavan. These are the second and the third book in the Trade a Spy trilogy. This is The Rogue, while this is The Ambassador's Mission. I love Trudy Canavan. I've not yet started the series, because I wanted to collect the series before I started, and now I have them and I'm very happy and I can get into reading them now and I can just marathon them. This is actually the sequel trilogy to The Magician's Guild by Trudy Canavan, which I've also read, and I can't give away anything about the plot of these books because that would spoil the third book of The Magician's Guild. And the only thing I can say is that Sanea in these books is grown up, and I'm not sure if she's actually the protagonist, even though her name is on the book, but I'll tell you as soon as I've read the books. With the next series, I'm not sure what the official series name is. I'm just gonna call it the Rivers of London series by Ben Aranovich. These are also in German, and this is the first book, which is Die Flüsse von London, Rivers of London in English. And I have read this book and it was gorgeous. It's crime fiction, but with a touch of supernatural in it. I just love this combination of crime fiction with supernatural, and I like the German covers better, so I bought the German editions of this crime fiction. The second book is Schwarzer Mond über Soho, which is Moon over Soho, and I have not read this book, but it's the sequel and it has the same detective. I hope I'm getting the order right, but I think that this is the third book, which is Ein Wispern unter Baker Street, or Whispers Underground in English. I think this is the fourth book in the series. It's Der böse Ort, and it's called Broken Homes in English. And I just figured out that this author also wrote for Doctor Who. That's probably why I like his writing style. Also, I really love these covers. Look at how adorable is that? This elephant castle there. So pretty. The next book in this category is Gated, die letzten 12 Tage by Amy Christine Parker. The English book simply is called Gated, so that was obvious. From the text on the back, I think that this is a dystopian novel. It's about a girl called Lila who lives in a community that is ruled by the Pioneer, and she has never questioned what the Pioneer or this community say, but as soon as she falls in love with someone who lives outside of this community, she starts questioning everything, and the Pioneer is not too happy about that. And that's basically the premise of this book. The next book I got is Wer weiß schon was morgen mit uns ist by Anne Brasharis, and the English title is The Here and Now. This book is about 17-year-old Prana, I think she's called, who comes from the future where a virus killed a lot of people, and she has escaped to our present, but she's not allowed to talk about her background and where she came from, and she's basically not allowed to talk to anyone. But then she meets a guy, and even though she stuck to the rules for a long time, now that she's met Ethan, it becomes harder and harder for her. I really like the idea of this book because it's a person from the future coming to our present, and it also has this kind of dystopian style in it. The last book in this category is Ab morgen ein Leben lang by Gregory Sherrill, and the English title is The Future for Curious People. The book is about Evelyn and Godfrey, and while Evelyn is still looking for the one, Godfrey thinks he found his one true love, and they meet at a place where you have this machine that shows you your romantic future. While they do not know it at the time, this is a very important coincidence that they met there. It sounds like a really romantic story to me. Also has this kind of dystopian vibe to it, or at least futuristic vibe to it, just because there is this machine that can tell your romantic future. Now onto the books that I have in German that I was not able to find an English translation for. The first two books are by my all-time favorite German author, Kerstin Gier. And the books are Lügen, die von Herzen kommen and Ein unmoralisches Sonderangebot. The title of this could be translated to Lies That Come from the Heart, and this would be an immoral bargain offer. These books are definitely both romantic comedies, and I rather like Kerstin Gier's writing style, and I've read romantic books by her and they were great, and so these are like a summer beach read for me. In this book you have this very annoying father-in-law called Fritz, which is a very German name. He makes his daughters-in-law switch their partners because he wants them to see how good they have it with the two sons of his, and he gives them money so that they switch. Could get really complicated. But I like the premise of this book, so I got this. Also, it's Kerstin Gier, so I got this. So this book is about Hannah, who goes online for dating, and she finds this guy who scores very high on the matchmaking kind of test that they have there, and she really wants to meet him, but then her new boss also looks really nice, and she isn't sure whether the boss can beat the really high scoring guy of the online dating site. Again, it's Kerstin Gier. What am I supposed to do? It makes me very sad that her books are not translated into English, apart from the Gemstone trilogy. However, I think that the Silver trilogy, her other trilogy for young adults, is going to get translated into English and is coming out next year. Moving on, the next book in the German category that I have is Die Seiten der Welt by Kai Meier. This could be translated to The Pages of the World, and this is a book about books. This author is German, and I don't think that any of his books have been translated into English. So this book is about Furia Salamandra Fairfax, that's quite a mouthful, who lives in a very old house with a huge library, and she's looking for her soul book and tries to discover the magic in the books. And as far as I understood it, this is actually a fantasy book, so it has magic in it connected to books. And I love books, and I love magic books, and I want to read it. The next book, and also almost the last book, is Die Liebe zu so ziemlich allem by Christine Vogelei. This is also a German author, and I couldn't find any translations of her books, so I assume that there are none. This book is also set in Germany, in a small town, where there's Carlotta, who is working in a museum that collects almost everything, and a Swedish guy comes in and brings a Swedish painting. She kind of falls in love with him, but this painting causes a chain reaction that leads to dramatic events happening. I just like this idea of a chain reaction happening, and it's set in Germany and German author, and I have to kind of read more of that. The last book in this category, and also in this haul, is Mind the Gap, wie ich London packte oder London mich by Amy Abrahamson. The original title is Only Vag is Up. I think that the original language is Swedish. I think the English translation for the Swedish title would be The Only Way is Up, and the English translation for this is Mind the Gap, How I Got Through London, or How London Gutted Me. This book is basically about a girl from Sweden who goes to London and tries to cope with everything there and tries to live there, and I love London. It has Mind the Gap in it. I had to get this book. So those are the books that I bought this month, and I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it is on the lengthier side, and like and subscribe and stuff. I will see you in 2015 with my reading wrap-up of 2014, in which I discuss my reading challenge and whether I got on top of that. Hopefully I have read Gathering Blue by then. It's just gotta be a quick, short video to tell you how my reading went, and I hope you have a very happy new year. I will see you then. Bye bye!